Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Season 1, Episode 3 of Barry. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. I love that Barry has to wait on killing Paco, even though he has the perfect opportunity to do it. And I love that just Barry's so pissed because every time he's got the perfect lineup because Paco's just outside stretching like, I'm a big target. Here I am, wide open, ready for you to kill me, Barry. And it's just like, and I just love how upset he is because Hank is making him wait because Hank is, and it's not really just Hank's idea, it's Goran's idea about like the theatrics of it all of, let's send a bullet, and it's like, right, the bullet needs to arrive just when Paco dies, and I'm like, how do you, like, I get it, but also like, how do you properly plan that out? It's meant to almost be like a psychological warfare of like, oh my god, a bullet just arrived. Oh my god, I just found out that Paco is dead. And, I get the messaging behind it, but still, Barry doesn't like it because now he's stuck between that and he has to wait because it's like, cool, the bullet's going to arrive anywhere between noon and midnight. So just wait till then. Obviously, if you don't, we'll just have another excuse to kill Fuchs, so you have to wait. So... And I like how Hank's character is so damn oblivious because he's like, oh, Barry, he must have bad reception. And it's like, oh, did Barry ask? And Fuchs is like, did Barry ask about me? No, but he sounded a bit frustrated. It's like, yeah, I wonder why. Which I also love on the Goran and Hank side of things. The new assassin, Lucky's replacement, is... this well-known assassin named, was it Stovka? Who was an older gentleman, which I love that. It's like, oh, how old are you? He's like, I'm 45. And then, because Fuchs is talking to him, he's just like, Jesus Christ. It's like, oh, that's so messed up. I guess it's like, right, killing people for so long would probably age you up like that. But essentially, Stovka's gotten orders that, right, once Barry kills Paco and comes back, you kill Barry and then you kill Fuchs. And Fuchs is like, right, all the women here and just, this is the place where, like, things can happen. But Stovka is someone who, and I think there's a very neat parallel you can make between him and Barry. And when you've been an assassin for that long, like, it takes its toll on you. His wife and son left him because it's like, right, they said I was broken, and it's like, I have nothing. Like, ever since I was a child, all I've known is death. And he's like, there's only one true way to get out of this, because if I don't do this, they'll just keep asking me to do it over and over and over again. And the moment he starts talking about it, I'm like, you're about to kill yourself, aren't you? And lo and behold, he does. But I love that this situation presents an opportunity for Fuchs to talk to Goran, because Goran's worried that, like, right, my family cannot find out about this because they're going to realize I'm a failure and this is going to break up my family. So, and I love that when Fuchs is in the chair, he's still wearing that thing and he's trying to reach for his wand. He's just like, ugh! And he just, like, slides the cloth closer. And he's like, yeah, we could do something about this, like, neck bind thing. But he's talking to Goran about, like, right, let's not get a work about the theatrics. It's like, right, you're going after these particular people, like, basically saying steal from them. And then when home dude rolls up to, like, check on things, then you kill him, kind of get rid of the theatrics and you kind of take what's yours. And so I love that Fuchs puts himself in a more... favorable position. I mean, obviously, like, being kind of Goran's, like, in Goran's ear gives you the opportunity to stay alive because now given the opportunity, he will kill you and Barry. But his way of handling this is to bring Barry deeper into this. It's like, right, Barry, I've got a world-class assassin that you could use to make this happen. So this is supposed to be a one-off deal, but Barry doesn't know that Fuchs is up there, like, drawing you deeper and deeper into this. So major conflicts of interest are about to come up. But so they've got that all planned out. Ultimately, Barry's trying to, do everything in the acting class, and you're just like, oh, it's so weird and awkward. And I'm like, is that what acting classes are really like? It's just like, but Barry, when it was his time, he couldn't get the scene. I guess because he is so numb, he couldn't really, it's like, oh, what does soup make you feel? Like, oh, soup must mean some kind of connection to your mom. Maybe she was sick and maybe had cancer, or like, oh yeah, there's like so many different types of cancer and stuff like that. And I love that Gene's like, we're getting off topic here. Let's circle back. But Moss and Loach end up showing up because they found out about the connection to Ryan and Goran. Because, and I love Loach being like, oh, he was training Goran's wife. Training, you know? They were fucking. Like, fucking. But now it's like, cool, so who killed the Chechens then if they killed Ryan? They have all the motive, but who potentially? So it's like, right, Ryan only went to two places, the gym and his acting class. So they roll up at the acting class and interview everyone. So Barry's aware that they're looking into Ryan's murder. Now that's going to be interesting when he eventually talks to Hank. It's like, oh, you know the cops are investigating Ryan's murder, and it's going to tie back to you. Because Barry's probably going to remember he brought up that camera last episode, so I'm wondering when that correlation is going to hit. And it's like, what's on the camera? So that's definitely going to be interesting to see what kind of flows from there. There's also that scene with Gene that I love where he was talking to Detective Moss, and he was just like, oh yeah, I've been on ride-alongs and stuff like that. And she's almost like, what? Who are you? He's like, oh yeah, I run this place. He's like, I'm going to call you. And I'm like, what was that about? Was that him going to like offer her a job, or was that, I couldn't tell if that was supposed to be him hitting on her, or was that him just being like, oh, I'll call you in a sense of like, right, we can make something happen, like I own this place. And it sounded like it was more like him hitting on her. I was like, wow. Kind of forget about the fact that this is about her investigating the murder of one of your students, but sure, whatever. I also love when Sally was being interviewed. She's like, right, me and him are in lines. Have you ever seen this movie? No. Have you seen this movie? No. Have you seen this movie? No. But Loach is like, no, wait, I actually have seen that movie. So, also, she actually got an audition for something, and I do like, and it kind of plays, not necessarily, I said from the beginning, for episode 1, like I said, my opinion could obviously change as we watch more and more. I kind of was like, oh, I wonder if Sally's going to be like the very mean girl, but it's like, no, Sally just has her elements of being kind of in her own world and not kind of caring about anyone else. She's definitely got that kind of going on. I think, because she gets so wrapped up in herself that it's like, right, she's like, oh, Barry, can you help me run these lines? It's like, oh, cool, for this audition I have. And he's like, oh, I might have something to do. And she's like, please. And he's like, well, obviously he wants to help because he does care about Sally. But also it's like, oh, yeah, I want to do this thing. It's like, oh, right, can you wait here for me? And so it's like, it is that kind of almost like, she definitely gives vibes like that. Oh, I kind of get so a little self-absorbed sometimes. And I think you could make the argument, it's like, well, I'm sure someone could make an argument, make a blanket statement like, oh, kind of how very actorish of her, ha ha ha. Like, I'm sure that statement could be, like, someone could make some point or correlation there. Because I think it's just supposed to be like a very hyperbolized, obviously, version of like an actor, especially someone who's up and coming and trying to make a splash, you know, trying to make a name for themselves, and trying to make a career out of it, you know, so. But, yeah, it's like, oh, cool. The moment she walks in, she's so excited, because it's like, oh, man, they asked for me by name. It turns out someone that she did a thing with, what was it, Bonnie and the Boston Bomber, and it's like, ugh. Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, it never aired because of the name of it, but, like, they were in the show together or whatever. And she's the lead in the show, and she ended up asking for Sally by name, which honestly is pretty dope, but obviously it like irked Sally's nerves because she thought she was getting the role of the lead. Well, she wasn't they even promised her that she wasn't going to, no, they promised that she wasn't going to get the lead, right? They promised her that she was going to be like the mom or something, but it turns out, wait, the person who's the lead in this is literally the same age as me, and Sally takes it as an offense of like, no, she did this just to embarrass me, just to make herself feel better, because like on the call sheet from the previous show that they had worked on, Bonnie and the Boston Bomber, like, it's like, oh, she wasn't even like the fifth on the call sheet or something like that. I don't remember what Sally was, but she was like very upset by it. And I love later on when she's talking to Barry, and Barry wants to be there for her. It's like, fine, I'm gonna be there in half an hour. He ends up killing Paco because Hank gave him the go-ahead, which we also have Lucky's brother still keeping an eye on him. I love that he's super obvious about. He's just out in public with that long ass camera, and he's just looking, and just you see like a lady just in the background just staring at him like, "What are you doing?" And he's just okay. We'll see how that develops. I hope that doesn't turn into a sad situation with the whole Sally thing with that whole Lucky's brother situation. We'll see, but. I thought Barry was going to get all stealthy, which he snuck into it, but I love that it's just like, right, the floor crate. I wonder he can handle himself in close quarters killing someone, but once again, he does have military experience, so I guess it's not that. I'm so curious to see what Barry's like in close quarters, you know? Because we haven't really seen him in action to an extent. I mean, we see how capable he is with a gun, but, you know, I didn't know how much that would translate, once again, close quarters and stuff like that. But he ends up killing Paco, and I think it kind of speaks volume, speeding over to Sally, and Sally's complaining on the phone, and I love that he drives past Sally. She's like, while still on the phone with him complaining, being like, "You just missed my house," and he, like, backs up. Then they start making out. Because it is, once again, kind of plays into that whole thing of, a little self-centered, because she's like, right, do you really think I'll be a movie star? He's like, yeah, obviously, like, you're the best actress I know, I've ever seen, so kind of plays into her ego a little bit. I don't think he's saying that, like, to be shallow or anything. I think he is, like, legitimately saying that wholeheartedly because he likes her and he believes in her, so. But they do their thing. The whole scene with them at the grocery store, I don't know if that's something in his mind that... Either that actually happened, which I don't think it did. I think it was probably just like it helps with the scene. He's able to kind of finally visualize it. I think it's kind of thawing and what he is like. I think it's just supposed to be like, he can now see, he can visualize the soup aisle and what he can visualize the scene of like, let's get lentil soup is fine. What else are we gonna get? Gum. So it's like, yeah, I thought that was kind of neat. But then he thinks about to the Paco thing and. Sally says that it translates to, you don't have to do this. And Barry's like, I think he's right. I guess I don't. So, it is kind of crazy. Like, yeah, you just killed a dude and immediately you and Sally banged it out. So, it's kind of wild. So, it's definitely going to be interesting to see where the next episode ends up taking us. Going forward with all of this, when, Barry has kind of solidified, like, right, I don't have to do this anymore. I don't have to be this person anymore. I could just go full-blown acting. I think that's what, obviously, he's leaning more towards. So, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens next. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.